Welcome back. Now, before the break, we spelled out for you the latest on Michael Flynn and the White House reaction. And joining us now to discuss, former federal prosecutor Berit Berger. She now director of the Center for Advancement of Public Integrity at Columbia Law School. Wow, right? I mean, a lot of political theater. One of those days you want to be inside the courtroom, right. The audible gasps and everything else. What did you make of what the judge had to say and his decision to postpone his decision?
So it's not totally unheard of for a judge to want to sort of take a break and to think about it. It is much more rare, I think, in the context of a cooperating witness's sentence. Usually, given sort of the information that comes in the sentencing submissions, I think usually the judges go into it, having some sense of what they're going to do. Here, the way I read it is, the judge was reacting to two things. First, I think he was rightfully reacting to sort of the seriousness of these offenses, perhaps reacting to the fact that Flynn was actually only charged with the false statements. But I think he was also reacting to Flynn's sentencing submission. And I think it was a harsh reaction on his part. Flynn was in some ways, skirting the line of, trying to not accept his responsibility in these sentencing submissions. And so I think that's one of the reasons we got such a strong reaction from the judge.
It was almost like it was two different parts, where he was acknowledging his lifetime of service to government, and then he went to treason, and then he walked it back a little bit or whatever else. I guess I understood where he was going, but it seems that he could have had the complete acknowledgement, which is what he was looking for Flynn, that no one made you do this, and you knew better after all your, come on, right?
Right.
But he seemed to castigate him and say, I'm still going to take my time to figure out if I still want to do this, after there was acknowledgement by Flynn he wasn't going to withdraw his plea here, and yes, he did lie. So I wasn't sure what was achieved today other than a spanking.
Well, and that may have been it. I mean, it may have been just a little bit to put the fear of God into him, right? Like, look, you seem, you're very confident. You were sort of pushing the envelope a little bit with your sentencing submission. So I just want to, I want to scare you a little bit here.
So make a guess here. Does he come back and say, I made my point, or does he give him jail time?
I don't think he gives him jail time. And, I think both the special counsel and Flynn, they're going to file supplemental memos.
Yep.
And I think what they'll do is they're going to outline in even more detail probably all the cooperation he's done, perhaps the ways that he will continue to work with the special counsel's office in the future, but I don't think he gets jail time.
Was the prosecution as surprised as the rest of us this happened, or did they have an idea it's coming?
That's a good question. I think they probably were surprised, although who knows? The judge did send sort of a signal when he asked them to, redact the memo and give the 302 memo. So who knows? Maybe they saw it coming.
So was it bad lawyering? Why would Flynn's team, when they already got the promise, no jail time, okay, there you go, why would they have put out that dopey memo saying our guy was duped into a confession, he felt he had to after he was coerced basically into saying that he lied and all the rest? How did they possibly think that was going to fly?
Yeah,
or what was the intention of it? I don't even get the logic of it.
Well, I certainly don't think the intention was to get him a more lenient sentence. Because I think if they had just kept their mouth shut, written a very straightforward, look at all his past public service kind of letter, I think that, he probably would have gone in today, he would have gotten sentenced, and he would have gotten time served. And that's my guess.
Right. But my point is, if he's going to get time served, you don't need a pardon. So why are you playing to the choir, or more specifically Pennsylvania Avenue? Well,
I don't know. Look, I'll quibble with your first statement. It could be that he is still playing for a pardon. A pardon isn't just going to get you out of jail. A pardon also would expunge the fact that you had, this criminal conviction. So he may still want to sort of clear his name by way of a pardon, but he may also be trying, and by he I mean Flynn, may also be trying to sort of preserve his reputation for whatever the next chapter in his life is. So if he wants to be,
gutsy play.
Who knows? And it's a gutsy play to put it in a sentencing submission, right? If you want to just get the message out here that, like, I was treated very unfairly by the FBI and I was pressured into this, there are perhaps other mechanisms by which you can get this message out there than your sentencing submission. But other than that, I don't really know that there's a great reason why you would include something like that in a sentencing letter. And
they ensured today that in the interim, before sentencing is decided, and I think most people agree with you, it's not going to include jail time. He's got to continue to sing. He's got to be a cooperating witness in the interregnum. So to me, I don't know what he really gained out of today. I think you're right. That may have been the logic. So here's the next question: why did Flynn lie?
I feel like that is the million-dollar question, and honestly, one that we may never have the answer to. I mean, the answer may come in some of those redacted paragraphs that, are either in the 302 that was produced or in the government's sentencing submission. But I think that, and maybe the judge was trying to get at a little bit of that too. I don't know that we've ever gotten, a great explanation of that. It seems like the questions that he was asked, had a pretty straightforward answer. And I mean, as I see it, he was trying to lie to protect other members of
That's the only logic,
the transition
because
team.
As the incoming position that he was coming for, he's allowed to talk to other foreign governments. Now, yes, he didn't register as a foreign agent before and all the rest, all true. But unless he was working at the directive of someone else to actually formulate policy and tell people don't do anything because things will be taken care of, which is certainly the implication here, that would be the only rationale they would have to be covering for somebody. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done any of this if he just told the truth.
Well, and in the statement of offense, when he actually pled guilty, it said that he was, in consultation with a senior member of the transition team and then a very senior member of the transition team. So there were clearly people that, I don't know if he was working at their direction or simply working together with them, but I think it made clear, that statement of offense, that A, he wasn't doing this alone, and B, there was probably people that he was trying to cover up for when he lied.
You're too nice a person, but I'm going to do this to you. Try and put yourself in the president's head, okay? Yeah. Michael Cohen cooperates, and he's a rat. It's just like out of a mob movie, okay? Mr. Flynn has been cooperating and singing all along here, and according to the prosecutors, said his contributions have been extremely important enough they don't want to even give him a day of jail time here. That's how important he's been to their investigation. But yet he's a sympathetic figure. Why one a rat and the other one an American hero?
Well, not only an American hero, you have the president tweeting out saying, "Good luck today" to General Flynn, right? I mean, just the optics of that, right? So in the court case, you have, it's the United States versus Flynn. And the president's tweeting out, "Good luck to Flynn."
Just to interrupt, could you imagine? We did so many corruption cases in New York in last year. I was thinking, if Joe Percoco was going for a sentencing and Governor Cuomo sent out, "Good luck today," right. Do you know the fireworks that would have happened?
100%.
We have gotten so used to this insanity that the president's own Justice Department is conducting an investigation, and the president calls someone who cooperates with them a rat, and a person who's now committed a crime and lied to his vice president, his then chief of staff, and everything else, and was fired for it, right. That he's wishing him luck when he's getting sentenced.
Correct. Against his own United States Justice Department. It is, that part is shocking. But you're right, it is a huge disconnect why, Michael Cohen gets sort of the rat treatment from the president and General Flynn gets his,
The cynic in me says that he's very concerned about what Flynn may say, and he wants to ensure that if there's anything out there that he hasn't said as of yet, there may be a rainbow on the other side of the hill here.
Well, and it seems to me, too, that he perhaps, again, this is, my armchair expert here, but he is, both more threatened and, more hurt, perhaps, by Cohen's cooperation. So Cohen obviously had a more long-standing relationship with the president. He knew more about his financial dealings. So it seems to me, by sort of the way he's treating these two, that one of these two men scares him more than the other. And from my opinion, it seems like that's Cohen.
As former federal prosecutor, it was really fascinating. Jim Comey was on the Hill again yesterday, testifying in a congressional hearing, and he said again, they're asking me about Hillary's emails and everything else. But I thought he had a few profound moments of clarity about just step back and think about what we're talking about. Take a listen.
Another day of Hillary Clinton's emails and the Steele dossier. This while the President of the United States is lying about the FBI, attacking the FBI, and attacking the rule of law in this country. Republicans used to understand that the actions of a president matter, the words of a president matter, the rule of law matters, and the truth matters. Where are those Republicans today? At some point, someone has to stand up, and in the face of fear of Fox News, fear of their base, fear of mean tweets, stand up for the values of this country and not slink away into retirement, but stand up and speak the truth. It undermines the rule of law. This is the President of the United States calling a witness who has cooperated with his own Justice Department a rat. Say that again to yourself at home and remind yourself where we have ended up. This is not about Republicans and Democrats. This is about what does it mean to be an American?
I think we get so used to stuff, but it is, I'm going to talk about this in a coming segment, with the volatility in the markets. He called the Fed chair loco today, right? But this is loco. I mean, what we're making ourselves used to, and I'm just going through biography on Marshall, right? The former chief. And we have faced other challenges and stuff, but the idea that in 2018, we're having these conversations, Barrett, where our own justice system is intentionally being demeaned for its integrity and its right to be a co-equal third branch. It's crazy.
It is.
And I don't think I'm exaggerating, right? I mean, tell me if you think I am.
No, you're not exaggerating at all. It's crazy. And as a former prosecutor, it is so dangerous and damaging, not only to the morale of other prosecutors who are just trying to go to work and do their very important job, but it is so dangerous to law enforcement to be spreading this message of like people who cooperate and who assist law enforcement investigations are rats and are worthy of, mean tweets by the president. I mean, this is one of the most crucial tools that law enforcement uses to build its case. And not only in the special counsel's office. I mean, as you know, almost every single case that the U.S. Attorney's Office brings has some type of a cooperating witness involved. This is not like a luxury we have. We depend on people to step up and take accountability and do this kind of work. So for the president to just be insulting and demeaning them not only undermines, this own investigation, but really every criminal investigation that's going on in this country right now.
I mean, this is an exaggeration. Remember how we talked about in certain cities in America, the snitches get stitches thing, that gangs will put the fear of life into people cooperating with the police. I mean, we're having these conversations in a surreal way about a federal investigation. So I wanted to show you, if we can bring up, guys, the graphic of the multitude of investigations going on simultaneously, including this is a fraction of them, by the way, including both your old office, both New York Attorney General's office. You've got them going on in some of the Virginia and D.C., as well as obviously at the federal level here. My God, it happened from the campaign to the transition to his actual inauguration, then to the administration, and then the charitable organization that he had set up here, and his organization, obviously, as well. Where do you think there's almost too much of a fire hose of concurrent investigations? I don't know the answer. You can't just just pretend it doesn't exist and allow it to go away. But on the same end, it's almost too much to process. And I'm concerned that some of it's going to get minimized as a consequence.
No, I think that's absolutely right. It is hard for people to focus. And, each individual thing kind of loses its impact when there's 17 active ongoing investigations here. It does make it very difficult to focus. I mean, fortunately, I think each individual prosecutor's office, they've got the focus, and that's sort of what we need. But I think it also depends on sort of what's the end game here, right? I mean, these different investigations are going to run their course. People in many of these investigations have been held to account. They have been convicted. We have people that are going to be serving jail time. So, there is progress being made here. But ultimately, this is information that's going to have to go to Congress. So, we, the public, can get very overwhelmed by this. But ultimately, it's how all this information is packaged together, and really what Congress decides to do with all of this.
Well, and that brings me to my final question, because there's more and more stuff coming out now relating to even American media, really the Inquirer and stuff, and from people that were there that says there is criminal activity that has yet to come out that had happened over the years between both Trump and the First Family and all the rest. Is this purely a political decision, or does Mueller have it within his bandwidth, not his ability, but his role, to sit down and say, this is about the country too. I've got this laid out. Resign, we don't press charges. Or is that purely a political conversation? Or does that come from his office?
I mean, I don't know what his office has and sort of the conversations that have been had there. I would think it would be incredibly unlikely for that kind of a conversation. I mean, Mueller has been proceeding very methodically and very much like a prosecutor. He has not been engaged in a political battle here. He has been doing this as a law enforcement officer.
The most disciplined person by far in this whole practice.
The most disciplined person. So the most I can see happening is He puts together a report, and that report ultimately goes to Congress. I don't really see some sort of a side deal happening with the special counsel's
And is the reason why a lot of people thought, myself included, by now we'd have it is more and more just keeps coming out, and that's part of the investigation?
Yeah, I mean, and for everybody that's like, gosh, what's taking so long? I mean, Flynn's plea and Flynn's sentencing just shows you how difficult their job is. It is very difficult to conduct an investigation when everyone you meet with lies to you, and then you have to waste your time. I mean, let's say Flynn didn't lie, and we didn't have to go through this whole sideshow of prosecuting a former, Army general for lying to FBI agents. I mean, this has been a huge time suck and something that just, prolongs this whole investigation.
And I just want people to think about it. Who lies to the FBI? I mean, you gotta really have some nerve, and we're in double digits now of the folks seemingly comfortable with that. Yeah. Berit, as always, great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, coming up next, we're gonna head over to Wall Street and a major slump for stocks this month. Believe it or not, could be the worst December since the Great Depression. Think about that. An anchor at Yahoo Finance joins us to explain what's going on.